welcome. This right here, right now. No, wait. I'm sorry. Right now is the joy of being a live stream, coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. Very glad to be with you here, and excited for a lovely day, folks. Today's the day. Today is the day. We got a little Sela next to us here. Got a little doggy cam action. Let's see, what do we got? Come on, Sela. Come on the other side. Okay, folks, exciting day today. Not only is it a day to meditate and hang out and have fun, it is also, Sela, here. Yes, good girl. It is also impeachment day. So impeachment number 2. First time in history. It is a moment. That is absolutely for sure. How is everybody? This is my big question for you. A, where are you? Where are you? B, what are you grateful for? I'm in BK. I gotta think about this one. Sometimes I'm too busy running the stream that I'm like, what am I grateful for? This is a silly one. My sense of smell. Yeah, Tomalon, welcome. Nice to see you here. Are you in the wrong place, Tomalon? No, you are not in the wrong place. You are in the exact right place. Glad you're here with us. Let's see. Tomalon joining us from India. Sela, come. Here. Down. Good girl. Down. That's not down. Yeah, it's down. Good girl. Okay, so, folks, where are you and what are you grateful for? Very happy to be here with you today. We're going to be exploring Taming the Beast. We're going to be using some nurture positive meditation practice in order to, chill out the system a little bit and have some fun. Hang out with the doggo. Hello, doggo. Hello. Yeah, so where are you and what are you grateful for? That's how we like to start it out here as people begin to trickle in. You want this treat, you silly sucker? Yeah. Eat it up. We're actually considering getting a second pup just so these guys can have someone to play with, and we can have Raquel often will take the dog for her office, and then there's no dog here, and I'm like, I want a dog. So there's that. Welcome, Sporty Race Girl. New Year, Happy New Year to you too. I'm surprised we haven't seen you since the New Year, but here in Toronto, I'm grateful for meeting my friend in the park this morning. That's lovely. It's and we're in the same time zone, so yeah, you really did do it in the morning. That's lovely. Glad you had a chance to connect, hang out with some friends. Let's bring this down slightly. And yeah, good times. All right, Sela. You're here to entertain. You're not here to be an autonomous being with your own thoughts and desires. You're here to entertain us. And if you can't do that, then you're in trouble. Okay, folks, tell me, what on earth are you grateful for as we begin here on our exciting Wednesday, on our impeachment Wednesday? What is it that you are grateful for? Talon says, I'm grateful that I, along with everyone who is on this stream, survived 2020 and COVID. That is absolutely the case. If you are watching the stream right now, the likelihood is extremely high that you survived 2020 and COVID. So thank you for that. That's a nice, broad welcome here. Julia says, hello from Vienna, Austria. Grateful for the potential for change the pandemic has brought me, and for my supply of FFP2 masks. Excellent. I don't know about that rating, but that sounds really good. Sounds really good. Sela is excited about her FOOD supply. Very excited about that. Can we get her to eat it at the camera? Here you go, Sela. Eat that. No? No. Here. Come. I'm trying to get her to... Alright, whatever. Come on, Sela, come. Come. I'm like, come on, dog. Do what I want you to do without you having ever been trained to do it. Okay, here, Sela. Up. Good girl. Oh yeah, I forgot. She has all these little tricks that maybe I don't know if people are interested in seeing her do stupid dog tricks, but okay. Up. Dance. Good girl. Could anyone see that? She did a full 360. The wide angle lens is not quite capturing it, but let's do it over here. See, up. Okay. See, come. Evolve. Good. Evolution. Yes. She does evolution and then revolution. Okay, Sela, one more time. Up. Come. Okay. Dance. Oh, no. Okay. Up. Dance. Oh, you did almost. Dance. Good girl. Yeah. It's fun to train the doggy to do silly things. Okay. Other people are jumping in here. Hello, Gene from New York. Grateful for hot water. Tell me about it. What a life without that hot, juicy stuff. Speaking of which, I have no water with me. I think maybe I'll survive without it, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, okay, so folks, today we're going to be doing a meditation that many of you have been on the stream before or familiar with, but I was thinking, what do I want to do today? And so we're going to be diving into cultivating kind awareness. I really do think it's it's so interesting how my experience, this is my experience and comes out of my, however much time I've been teaching, is kind awareness is such a powerful and such an important tool. And, I just realized something. Hello. Okay, I'm sorry. We're building a whole new, it's not an app. It's we're basically building like a school, a meditation school. It's going to be virtual. Raquel and I are starting a new company, and I just had a realization, which I want to say out loud so I don't forget it, but is to show people how to move from see, hear, feel to charging the awareness, charging the kindness, the kind awareness. That's really good. Okay, that's a really good thing. I don't want to forget that. That is a major, I know it doesn't make a lot of sense now, but this is a big thing. Great. Excellent. Okay, cool. So folks, let's see here. Very excited. So today we're going to be charging awareness with, kindness. So actually, you know what I'm going to do? Okay, so folks, I'm going to try out some technology here. This is some meditation technology. It's not just a different kind of meditation, because we've done little bits of these, but it's also often how to deliver it. So I'm going to deliver this in the way that I'm thinking of delivering it in this new platform. It's going to be an app. It's going to be a whole, web thing. It's, we got beautiful design, all this stuff. It's really cool, cool project called Madrona Meditation. Now, let me think. How do I want to deliver this? So folks, we're going to do a meditation today. The point is that this is a extremely important tool. This is where I was talking about before, a little scattered, extremely important tool. Oh, I also want to talk about, maybe, I don't know if folks know who Chula Dasa is. He released a 33-page letter explaining the scandal that he was involved in. Maybe we'll talk about that. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, I don't have great feelings about it, so maybe I just avoid it. We could talk about that, but then the next thing is, what is the next thing? Wow. Weirdly scattered. Okay, I was saying before, it's such an important practice, but it's so easy to forget how to do it and let the system drift away from it. So we're going to do that today, and we're going to go from there. Julia, he yesterday released this 33-page letter that was, this is relatively cynical, and so forgive me if this is I can talk about it later, but there's a degree to which if you tire people out, they just stop asking questions. And there's a sense of I think my question was answered in here somewhere. But I honestly, I think he's a sweet person. I think his meditation technology is great. And I think that the letter is not what was needed, but I don't know. What do I know? Let me get my dog out of the bedroom because she's going to go for socks. And actually, folks, I'm going to grab water real quick. Don't go away. I'll be back in 10 seconds. Come on out. I realize that often when I walk away, I'm nervous. If I'm not here, nothing will happen, or people will be super annoyed. But often people then entertain themselves and talk to each other in community. How about that? I want to figure out ways to help people here feel more communitied, connected with the community. Let's see. Okay. So folks, we're going to meditate. We're going to meditate for 25 minutes. I'm going to encourage you to keep the body still, but because this is a nurture positive practice, let's hide this because it's going to make noise. Because this is a nurture positive practice, we want to be very generous. If we need to move the body, we can, just taking a minute or so to do so. This is not your water, Sila. You've got a dog face. You can't put your dog face inside my beaker. All of my scientific beakers that you guys have seen me have are shattered. They're so shatterable. They are gone. Okay, so folks, find a nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. Okay. Celia, you seem really playful. You seem like you don't want to sit. Do you want to come up here and sit for the meditation? Up here. She doesn't, I can't, it's hard to get her to convince herself to turn her body. Come here. Come on. Here. Good. Down. Okay, good. Stay. I doubt she'll stay there for like 10 seconds. Okay. Folks, we're going to meditate for a nice 25 minutes. P.S. The recorder, we're getting a new one. It should, nope, down. Down. Good. The recorder, we're going to get a new one because right now we can't record a thing, which means anything I do is just lost except for, I guess, the video. So find a nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. And then we'll begin. I encourage you to practice either with your eyes closed or with the eyes resting on a single point. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths and just feeling the body rise and fall. We'll begin by relaxing the body. So first, the large-scale gross relaxation, so relaxing the head and neck, the shoulders and arms and hands. Letting go of any attempt to control the breath, just letting the body breathe as it will. And relaxing the upper chest and upper back, the lower belly and tailbone. Relaxing the hips and the upper legs, the calves, and relaxing the feet. And because we can physically relax more than we can physically feel, see if you can relax the body altogether, not any particular part, but all of the body, relaxing all the way down to the level of the bone. As though if we let go deeply enough, it's as though the muscles would fall away from the bone. This is releasing down at the fascial level. So even if you can't feel it, just keep releasing Maybe we physically feel it. Maybe we have a sense that the body's edge becomes softer. We're going to begin by picking one sensation. I'll be describing using the breath, but you can pick any sensation that you can find consistently. So you could choose the sensations in the hands. You could choose even a sound or a mental image, but just keeping it easy for now, I'll describe the breath. And if you can't detect the breath, feel free to allow a hand to rest on the belly so you can easily feel the rising and falling of the abdomen. So picking your home base, not worrying if it's perfect, just picking something. If we're using the breath, what we're looking for is this precise sensation in this precise moment. It's a cross-section of sensing and time. Being very precise about this, putting whatever is needed into seeing this extremely precise experience, this precise breath sensation, or whatever sensation you choose in this precise moment. We're going to use a word in the mind to refer to this precise sensation in this precise moment. We'll simply call that experience this, knowing that each time we use that word, the definition changes. So being sure we're respectful. We're not referring to that or some other thing. We're referring precisely to this. Each time you notice this and the mind saying the word, soaking in, letting go, and starting the process over. So in the mind it might sound something like this, this, this. You get the idea. Of course, at times we're pulled away, we're distracted, we drift into unconsciousness. First, knowing that this is natural. It's the nature of the mind to be pulled away at times. And we have a label for that as well. It's very simply not this. So whenever we detect anything that is not this, we just give it that label. Any sound or emotion, body sensation that is not our home base is simply not this. It's not a problem. It's not even a distraction. It's simply not this. So we're playing this deeply simple game. We've divided the world into two things. This and not this. Each of which has a very specific definition. We don't want to be generic about what we mean when we use these two terms. This is precisely this sensation in this precise moment. And not this is, it's not something very specific. Whatever we detect that's a distraction is not what. Being precise, it's precisely not this. So even our term for distraction leads us right back to this. Now we're going to make a slight change. We've been dividing the world into two, and now we're going to let those merge together, letting go of any particular home base, and turning towards what we've been calling not this. In other words, everything, all of our sensing experience in this moment. We're going to change what we're calling it. Instead, we're going to refer to this as whole. The whole experience of this particular moment. A soft snapshot of everything the body and mind can sense. whatever has easily found its way into consciousness. Our term for that now is whole. And as we turn towards this larger experience, allowing this to be welcoming, as though this large open experience is welcoming whatever comes into it, whatever comes into awareness, no matter what it is. This large open experience is receptive. In fact, our label itself can be receptive. We can simply say, welcome. Welcome. Knowing that there's no outside of this meditation. There's no distraction anymore. Whatever arises, we simply say welcome. This is a large, soft, open, receptive welcome. And the lovely part about being human is all the strange and sometimes contradictory responses that arise within us. So we might say welcome to some sensation, and some part of us might say no, or might say I don't like this, or might feel like we're doing this meditation terribly, or maybe we're doing it wonderfully. So if there's any part of us that's assessing, or doesn't like, or does like, whatever part there is that arises, we simply say welcome. Whatever response to the practice comes into consciousness, welcome. 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 If some part of us doesn't welcome whatever arises, that's actually fine. It's expected. And to this we simply say welcome. that often some aspect of our experience just feels off or unwelcome or like it shouldn't be here in some way. And sometimes it's very hard to welcome that, and that's actually fine. In that case, turning to the part of us that has a hard time welcoming it. And with understanding, simply saying, welcome. Welcome, welcome. At any moment, no matter what arises, if we find that we're distracted or amused or having a tough time, knowing that sometimes it's easier to welcome the overall experience than it is to welcome any particular part. Sometimes the overall experience itself is welcoming. So saying welcome to the whole can feel much more relieving than saying welcome to any individual part. And for a moment, let's direct our welcome to the part of us that says welcome, that means it. This might feel a little funny, but that's okay. That part is working very hard. So we want to be grateful. Welcome. Welcome. And whatever arises from this, welcoming that. for a moment, seeing if there's any trace of anything that feels it's been disavowed, it's not welcome. And knowing that that's okay. If it doesn't want to be welcome, we don't have to force it. Letting it be is a different kind of welcoming. And staying with the practice, staying in stillness. I'd like us to welcome a tiny bit of light as we allow the eyes to slowly open, eventually resting the eyes on a single point. Again, staying with the practice, staying in stillness. Allowing our seeing experience to expand and include all seeing, as though seeing itself were welcoming all visual data. And in this way, letting this particular moment, as we sit here with our eyes open, as we do much of our day, letting this be the great teacher, showing us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay, so making any adjustments you need to allow the body to be comfortable. So folks, what on earth was that like? This is where we bust out our digital technology and start tippy-tapping away about what that experience was like, what happened, what you're like now. How that worked for you, any questions, curiosities, interests, any of those kind of things, and we will go into reports. I'm also going to give people the option of jumping on our fancy old Discord here, and in that way we can chit chat like it gets. Let me know if you do though, because fun fact, if I don't know that you're on there, I might miss you. Okay, P.S. Tomalon, if you're still here, paging Tomalon, I would like to, in our Discord, if it's possible, to make some kind of alert. Maybe there already is an alert. Maybe I already know that maybe this exists. If someone pops into the voice waiting room, I want to hear like a little sound, because I feel like people could pop in there and I wouldn't know. That's no good. No good. This might just be a settings issue. Okay, doggy cam off. Let's see what else. Beep, bop, bop, beep, bop, bop, beep, bop, bop. What else? So, folks, yeah, what was that like? What happened, and what do you like now? What are you chewing on? No, you can't eat string. Leave it. She's like, she has like, I think it's some kind of string, big string, and she's just like, she gives it up, and then she's like tries to get it last second again. Okay. Exalted Bro says, have you read Daniel Ingram's, Mastering the Core Teachings of the Buddha? Certainly. If so, what do you think about it? I think it's an excellent resource of a lot of different bits and pieces, and a sort of very particular quirky overview, his particular quirky overview of a lot of the, it's a commentary on a commentary, which was a commentary. Okay, so we're going back in time here. His commentary is based on a commentary written by Mahasi Sayadaw, which is written in the, I guess he wrote it over a long period of time, but I think it 70s is when it was like published in I'm not quite sure, but between the 40s and 70s, that's a big window. But he's writing it and sort of teaching this material at that time, and then I think it's published in English roughly, in the first time in like the maybe 90s or something. But that commentary was on another commentary, which was called the Visuddhimagga, which is a kind of, in a way, trying to create a kind of systematic version of all the meditation technologies found in the really, really old I guess, I don't know, are the suttas commentaries? They're sort of attempts to get a catalog of what the Buddha said. So it's a quirky interpretation. It's very interesting. I think it can be very helpful. I also think this is the general thing that I find when people read it, and I'm a friend of Daniel, sweet guy. We've had him on the stream before. It's a little bit, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the 4-Hour Work Week with Tim Ferriss. The way that book is written, at least when I read it back when, it's written like he was a kickboxer, and so or like a Thai boxer, and he was like a real athlete, and it's written like a very adrenaline pumping, like let's go, ball, and like there's this real driving feeling from it, and which can be motivating, but it can also be potentially diluting and make people be like, like need the thing. It's also, I think that, and I'm going to say this as a hot take, so I don't want I have to think about this stuff because I'm a teacher, and this could easily get back to Daniel, which is actually fine because I want to live in integrity and be able to say what I think is the truth, and then be able to talk about that. Okay, so this is less of a thing about Daniel. Anytime anyone claims that what they're doing is traditional, what's going to happen is the people who consider themselves more traditional, meaning orthodox, are going to say, well, no, I'm more orthodox. And then someone's going to say to them, no, I'm more orthodox, etc. So whenever you use traditional terms and claim any kind of traditional anything, you're going to get that kind of sort of pushback. So Daniel has, I think it's fair to say, a pretty personal and quirky and brilliant and massively personal, in a certain way, interpretation of those traditional things. And because of that, he's gotten a lot of backlash. He's made some claims about his own experiences and lined them up with traditional ones. I really think he's had exactly the experiences he's had, and his interpretation of how those fit into the traditional diagrams, that's a question. I don't know. Do they? Daniel feels that they do. Some people feel that they don't. I think more so is that, for one thing, is to recognize whatever experiences he's describing, he has definitely had those experiences. Whether those equal these traditional things, I think is very problematic to figure out, because I don't know that within the system that's outlined in ancient text that you could use that to diagnose someone who, I don't know if you could use those ancient texts to diagnose the Buddha, and the Buddha describing their experiences and saying, did you have these exact experiences? I don't think there's enough precise data to get there. So making those claims in many traditions in Buddhism is not allowed. You can't make those claims. So Daniel very clearly makes the claims and very clearly says, this is what's up, and this is, etc. So I think he's gotten a lot of backlash because of that. And it's been, in a lot of ways, the backlash has been pretty crummy. So it's a bummer, because I think he has a lot to give. I also think, and this is actually, so this will be an actual, loving and compassionate criticism. My actual criticism is that I like this, and it's actually more of a preference. I like things that are more scientifically sort of minded and use words like, often the case is that X. And don't say, this is how it is. This is what happens. And I remember I was on a retreat with Daniel. He was very generous and invited me on this small retreat. And we were doing fire kasina practice, which is looking at a candle flame and then having that, have a retinal burn, and then having the mind basically produce an image that is related to that, and sort of, et cetera, different ways of really developing kind of concentration. And Daniel, there's one particular thing where Daniel said, this stage is it is the red and black, or is the black and gold. And some people were reporting that, and he's like, this is what it is. It is always like this. It's consistent. It's just across the board. And at some point I realized that his data set was 20 people. And so someone, and I say it with love, but it's helpful in a way to have a real conviction. This is what's happening. And then to say that this is how it is, that was just not my experience. I was just having a different experience. And so it's I either do what? Either I say, well, I'm having the wrong experience, or I'm saying, well, this experience is very, very, very different. It's not what he's describing, is the black and gold. We'll just define it as, it's purple and squishy, but we'll just say it is the black and gold. We either do that, or we say, have a much broader set of definitions and say, okay, well, maybe it's not black and gold, maybe it's just colors come to the foreground or something much broader. But I often find that Daniel wants to say, no, it is this. And anything that's not that is just a variation of that. And there's a lot of like squinting and kind of head turning to fit things into categories that he's like, I'm very certain this is what it is. And what's I find that most challenging is in talking to him, there doesn't seem to be this self-reflectiveness to say, I'm shaping this and I am pressing this thing into a definition. We have this argument about phenomenology and whether phenomenology is a first-person experience or if it is... What is my dog chewing on? Sila, come here. What are you chewing on? Come. Leave it. She's chewing on something she knows. She's like, I'm not going over there. I know you'll take this, whatever it is, piece of glass out of my mouth or something. Sila, cut it out. Sila, here. Oh, you can know she's done something wrong because that's that command she knows really well, and she's not coming, so she knows she has something in her mouth she wants. See that here? Good. Okay, leave it. What do you got? What do you got? Like a shard, a needle in your mouth? What do you got in here? Okay, you came, so I'm going to give you a treat. We have this discussion about cessation, and I talk about how in Zen, there's such an intense outer experience, like the emphasis is so far pushed on your outer senses that there's no detected cessation per se, because there's actually a continuity. Some inner part of us goes ka-chunk, breaks away, and but the experience is of continuity, and my sense, the way that I'm defining it is saying, well, phenomenologically, there's no cessation for that person. That does not occur. He's like, well, but it's occurring in the background. It's like, right, but phenomenology is 100% first person. And he takes it and says, well, if we look at phenomenology as more of a taxonomy and look at it from zoomed out and look at everybody all together, and it's like, we have to decide at some point if we're talking about phenomenology or something else. So anyway, that's very in the weeds. Hopefully that is not a super long, weird answer for a really simple question. And I missed like 1,000 reports in that very small amount of time. Okay, let's go back here. Let's see. I'm going to go and actually start going to these 1,000 reports. So thanks for indulging me with that. Where is... Okay, here we go. Let's go back. And have I read MC so far back? Okay. RSN, Tim. Nice to see you, Tim. This might be your first time. Tim, tell me if this is your first time here. Let us know if it is. And if it is, everybody hit him with a welcome. If you are in streamer mode on Discord, you might not get an alert sound. Interesting. I don't know if I'm on streamer mode, but thank you for that, RSN. I will look into that, and hopefully Tom Alon is listening and we can figure that out. Okay, Black Skulls Merton says, I'm going to have the computer read this. Black Skulls Merton, also Denny says,
whenever I try to hold everything in my awareness, I notice that what ends up happening is my attention darts around to different things in my experience. It feels a bit frantic.
Great. Okay. So what you're saying is whenever you try to allow the totality, the mind will split it up and sort of break it up into different pieces. So one way to deal with that is just to add things together, to rather than say, because what the mind tries to do is it builds the world out of little pieces. Here's a Lego block, whoosh, throws it away. Here's another Lego block, whoosh, throws it away. And eventually, looking at all these little teeny tiny pieces, it'll say, trust me, there's a real solid world here. You see, if you look at this piece and this piece and this piece, it creates a world. But actually, the glue that's holding that together is, partially what Shinzen will call see-in. The mind is sort of just like glomming it all together and saying, yeah, it's here. And so what you're saying is your mind keeps dividing things. So let's see, if my mind's dividing, what you might do, this is one strategy that I've talked about before, is if you feel it pulling in, and there's like a gravitational, like, oh, everything's going to the middle. What is it pulling from? There's a sense of it. I keep getting zoomed into this one thing. What is that which it pulls from? And it's much softer. It's much more open because you have to sort of open up, and you're no longer using the sort of conscious power zooming in. So give that a try. See if that helps. You can try it now and see if it works. We'll go from there. And if it doesn't, then I'll give you some more. You can tell me what happens, and then we'll go from there. Julia says,
lots of agitation, remaining tension, and small involuntary movements at the beginning. Eventually I became more relaxed, but also less aware. Slightly tired now.
Okay, great. I appreciate that report because it's not like all rosy. Like, this great thing happened and that great thing happened. Very important, helpful, interesting. Thank you for that report. Excellent. I don't even know if there's anything to add to that because it was such a clear report. Okay, Exalted Bro, H3 Bro says,
I find his descriptions of the different stages to make no sense. Do they only work if doing specifically a hardcore vipassana practice, or can those be generalized to any and all kinds of practices?
If you were to say, can they be generalized to any and all kind of practices, I just say flatly no, they cannot be generalized. His descriptions, and when we're talking about, again, we're talking about Daniel Ingram's descriptions in the Mastering the Core Teachings of the Buddha. No, because there's just going to be different experiences for different people, depending on the practice, depending on their concentration level, all of these things. And I think that and that's the thing, is it's one of these things, forgive me if it's like, I think about, like, I really do consider Daniel a friend. If Daniel ever heard this, like, I don't know, I'm happy to chat about any of this. So forgive me for now making a Jordan Peterson comparison. But a lot of the reason why, oh man, I feel so bad for Daniel's like so far in the opposite direction, but whatever. Just as far as, like, I think morally, I think he's like so much of a very good person. Although I bet Jordan Peterson thinks he's doing the right thing. A lot of what Jordan Peterson does is he'll make a lot of implications but never say it, and he has a lot of protection by saying, he'll say things like, well, of course, I can't do a Jordan Peterson. Oh, someone said that you just do a Kermit the Frog. Well, of course, which I also can't do. Well, that's an open question. Have allowing women into the workforce, has that benefited us over the course of the last 50 years? There's an implication there. And he says, well, I don't know. It's a good question. And someone says, that's so messed up that you would say women aren't allowed in the workforce. And I never said that. I'm just asking a question. Are you opposed to asking questions? So he makes a lot of, what are they called? There's normative statements. Someone here knows this. There's normative statements, and then there's declarative statements. So he makes a bunch of declarative statements, just facts. We don't know if this is helpful over these years. We don't know that. And he never makes the normative statement, which is a natural conclusion of those statements. And he lets the audience's mind fill those in. And it seems very, smart and intellectual. I don't think that's the tactic that Daniel's using, especially because I think that is like very unethical. I think that Jordan Peterson knows that. I think what happens with Daniel is he'll say, look at this part where I said, yes, sometimes this happens, and I have this little paragraph that implies that, this is an average, and he'll go to length to say that. But in a lot of the tone and a lot of the vibe, he's giving this sort of very certain, like, this is how it is, this is always how it is, it will have this sort of thing, which I always bristle at that kind of language. You see it in a lot of teachers because it's very useful, and their technique is the one true technique. That's for me what I see is he says, no, this isn't universal, it isn't universal, and then it's just like the tone, and you can see it in the people who read him. It's like, clearly the people who read Jordan Peterson are making all these connections, and then Jordan Peterson's like, not my doing. And then a lot of the people who read and follow Daniel Ingram are like, this is how it is, it's always like this, and they have this, like, inside outside, like, this is real, that's not real, you're not doing it kind of thing that comes up, or it attracts those people. So Daniel's not responsible for that, but I think there is maybe like a little bit of a blind spot there. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Sporty Race Girl.
I had to take a work phone call, and that would normally frustrate me while meditating. By welcoming the call and the feelings that moved through me, I realized how much resistance I have in general to anything I don't want, and how I distract myself from the resistance, and then how it builds up.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
That's very, very impressive. That's really great clarity. And what you're doing there is there's the problem, the sense experience that is just a sense experience. It's perfectly neutral. There's the part that's like, you're a problem. And then there's often a part that's like, no, this whole configuration shouldn't be happening. And you address that part. You address the part that's like, hey, yeah, of course I have resistance. Look at that resistance. Welcome. which that equanimity just bleeds through and like breaks apart this part that feels like it's yucky. That's really great. Great clarity, great work. Wonderful. 2020 CL says,
I arrived late and didn't hear the beginning, but the last 10 minutes seems like a wonderful self-compassion exercise. Q. Do you particularly need to feel the welcoming acceptance of sticky negative blockages because some of these feel like they can persuade you they deserve to stay unwelcome?
Okay, let me listen to that part again because, okay, question, you say, question.
Do you particularly need to feel the welcoming acceptance of sticky negative blockages because some of these feel like they can persuade you they deserve to stay unwelcome?
Okay, there's a lovely Zen story, which I'll tell in brief here, because it sort of wants to be a long story, but I'm going to keep it relatively brief. Zen monk and student walking in the woods. At some point, they're sort of meditating, but the mind of the young monk comes alive, and he's like worried, and he says to the master, he's like, Master, how do I enter Zen? What he means is, how do I enter this state of experiencing that we might call Zen? You may call present moment awareness. You could call it Buddha nature. For me, it's, in a way, it's like this kind of awareness is Buddha nature, is the sort of the deeply neutral capacity of the mind to take in the world in a way that's transformative for every part interacting with it. So he says, how can I enter Zen? And the master stops and it's silent, and and just nothing's happening, and the student's waiting and patiently waiting, and finally after a certain point the student's like, oh, he's about to say something, and the Zen master says, can you hear that stream? And the student waits, and he's like, and eventually, way off in the distance, he hears this incredibly subtle, like through the wind and through the leaves, the sound of a, incredibly subtle stream. And he says, yes, I can. And the master says, enter Zen from there. So I'll keep telling the story, but a lot of meditation instruction sort of says that, enter Zen from there. So they're walking. At some point, the student's mind is beautifully connected, and all of a sudden it starts to go and move and like churn on this question. And finally he turns to the master and he says, Master, what if I couldn't hear the stream? And the master stops. And the student's like, oh, I get what's happening here. I know what's happening. So he just doesn't say anything. He's waiting. And eventually he's like, all right, I gotta say something. And just before he says something, the master says, enter Zen from there. So you said, do we need to welcome the negative sticky parts because they feel like they don't want to be welcomed? Well, enter Zen from there. If you can't welcome them, welcome that. Hey, I don't seem to be able to welcome them. Welcome. Hey, of course, there's some part of me that feels this is yucky. This is actually very skilled. If you can't accept something that feels disavowed, accept that you can't accept it. Oh, look, the system won't accept that right now. Okay, yeah, of course it won't accept that. It feels yucky. It doesn't like it. It hurts. So, and then the equanimity of that bleeds back in. This is such a powerful thing. You can do it right now, right? And don't injure yourself. Don't traumatize yourself. And you can make a little bit of pain. Produce a little pain, and I put my thumbnail into my hand. If that eventually gets painful, don't get too painful. You just need the slightest little bit so the system recognizes it pain, right? Okay, recognize right now that the system very quickly doesn't like that. It just basically doesn't like pain. Okay, it's like it doesn't. It's like that is an ouch. Just a little bit of an ouch there. See, instead of accepting the pain because it's hard, you're like, I don't. The mind keeps kind of zapping back. It still hurts. Accept the fact that you can't accept the pain, and see if anything occurs. And typically there'll at least be a flash or an instant or a little something where the pain for an instant will go and disappear, and then it'll come back and disappear. So another way to do this, another exact same thing. Okay, so it's hard to accept that point right there. It's hard to accept that. So see if you can then zoom out to where is the outline of where does the pain expand to, and then you go here where there's just none, and really, really, really accept that neutrality. Accept the thing that's neutral nearby and see what happens to the pain. if you can detect that, which is sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, you can notice that equanimity is messy and it'll just bleed onto things that are difficult. That is such a powerful skill. It is insane. I've had really, really intense emotion. You know, I talk about the psychedelic journey. It's like super intense emotion. And then just opening it up to awareness, just allowing it to be an awareness, it can be exquisitely like pleasurable. The experience of pain can be incredibly pleasurable because equanimity is just flooding in. So wherever you are, whatever part, if you can't accept it, then accept that you can't accept it. So hopefully that's a practical and tactile, that's what I want here, a tactile way of knowing that experience. Jean says,
during that this, and not this, section, Seela flapped her ears. It's a very cute sound, it made me smile a bit as I said, not this. It was nice, I was able to keep the smile on my face for a good part of the rest of the meditation. It felt easy today to break things down between this and not. I'm amused sometimes by how hard a simple exercise like this can feel, especially if the mind is wandering.
That's great. And that's, I've said this, but you heard me say this before, like the challenge of the game is how simple it is. It is the world's simplest game. It's just separating the world, which the mind already does, but we're keeping the same separation. It's this and then not this. And what's lovely about that is what the mind does is it turns all of not this into one big fat category. Like everything is this one thing, which makes it very easy then to turn to not this. We're primed for that to be one big object, which is what awareness does anyway. Turning to all of not this, and then there's this undifferentiated connection to awareness, which is lovely. Very skillful. Cutting through some delusion, folks. Okay, Nick says, welcome Nick. Nick, if everyone doesn't know, I just want to shout Nick out. Longest time subscriber here. I think he's been subscribed for like 16 months. That's like a very, that's no joke. And I think that's like the length of our live stream here on Twitch, because we were on YouTube for a while. Okay, Nick says,
started up, fully tensed up, felt a strong contrast with very calm and restful sensations in the body throughout the last half, even though surrounded by intense turmoil in all directions in the mind. Like an eye of the storm of something, relaxing into the inevitable chaos all around.
Nice. That's great. And that actually reminds me of Denny's comment where it's like, oh, the mind is darting. There can be something about if there's just chaos and movement all around, is to say, what knows all of that chaos or what knows all of that movement? And that's more of a position of awareness. So noticing that contrast, noticing the part that is calm, that's a very high skill level because typically the mind is drawn to the most dominant sensation. And so that's an excellent skill. So great work there. Jean says
Also, I want to mention again that I think another half-day Zoom retreat in the nearish future would be cool, and other people would probably be interested and supportive. If I come up with specific suggestions, I'll put them in the chat in the future.
That's great. So, Jean, tell everybody why you mentioned that in the last stream. Tell everybody why you're mentioning that in this stream. Oh, let's see. Show of hands. Oh, so show of hands is new here. Welcome. All right. So guys, I was missing for this part. Let's hit show of hands with a big old fat cloud of welcome here. Anyone who knows the stream knows what's coming up next. All right. Thank you. Welcome there. Great to see you. Great to have you here. And we're very happy you were able here to join us. Great to see you. Thank you here. Show of hands. Welcome. Is show of hands... See, I might be very confused here. Okay, explain to me what just happened. I thought we were welcoming someone whose name was show of hands, but no. Oh, you can have a command that does all of these. Do you know what we should do? We should make a command. Okay, Tamalan, if you're listening, I want to make some commands that are specific. We'll have like welcome 1, 2, 3, and 4, or maybe 5 or something, and each one is different. You can it'll just have a different glob of things, and everyone can punch that in really easy. Show of hands. I'm going to try that. Okay, I'm going to see if this is obviously a command that I just don't know about. Here we go. Apparently that doesn't work. Okay, so I was wrong, but we should have that. That'd be great. We'll have it be like W1, W2. Okay, so Exalted Bro says descriptive versus prescriptive. That's what it is. Descriptive versus prescriptive. Thank you for that. Peterson says how the world is and leaves out how it's supposed to be. That's exactly right. Or what we're supposed to do about it. That's exactly right. Hypothetically. I'm sorry, when you say hypothetically, I don't remember the context. Let me know what that is. At Awake. Welcome, At Awake. Great to see you. Nice little blurb here. Let's hit that. Let me hit you with this. Let's see. What does At Awake say here? Pop, 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 pop.
This was the nicest sit I have done on this stream.
Yay.
Experienced a feeling of love. This is like
Nice.
another practice from Rob Burby's book. He is big on 3 characteristics practice, and one of his approaches to the dukkha characteristic is welcoming experience. I have done this practice a lot and have just started again, but the word welcoming doesn't feel right in the body. There is resistance to it right now.
Great.
Instead used hello with welcoming intention. This felt better. Very nice feeling arose.
Great. Yeah, and you can pick any word you want. You can say I love you, or you can say welcome, or hello, or you can say may you be safe, healthy, happy, live easily. Any of these words is perfectly valid, perfectly workable. Okay. Gene says, I really enjoyed the last Zoom retreat and being safe at home during the time. Okay, so Gene, that's why you want the retreat to happen, but why are you saying it again? Remember what I told everybody last time. Let's see. Exalted Bro says,
also, after passing what he calls A and P, from my understanding this means awakening. He says you are permanently stuck cycling in these dark night phases until you have a full cessation experience, fruition. This sounds very scary to me. Is this true?
So, okay, so you've talked before about fear around the dark night. I want to just like go back and talk about that. You know, it is actually true that if you have very solid, concentration, especially if you have a nice soft connection to awareness, maybe this welcoming awareness, it tends to soften the intensity of any sort of dark night material that arises. So just know that that's a given. Even Daniel talks about how, it seems that people who do Chuladasa's system, the TMI system, will tend to have less turbulence as they're sort of, going through some of that material. I think that what that is a connection to awareness. There is more awareness there versus the mind being very zoomed in. And partially this is exactly what Denny was describing, is if the mind's really, really zoomed in, then until something cracks, it can often feel like it's like a zoomed in lens that like feels like it's shaking even though there's barely any movement there, versus something that's much more zoomed out. Now, any sensory experience is a path to awakening. So just know that you can go in any direction you want, and opening up, if that's a softer, easier, gentler path, might be the way to go. So, what's it called? So the point is that if you want to mitigate against dark night material, is to cultivate and connect with awareness. Awareness is also going to teach you a lot about equanimity, which is an important part of the process of moving along here. We have a new, stop. We have a new follow here from 2021 Lunar. That is a very timely name there, Lunar. And hopefully this year never ends. Great. Oh, we also had a follow from Lunar Downs Twitch. Nice. Oh, maybe you're the same person. So thank you so much for the follow there. Very nice to see you. AWS server followed. Thank you so much for the follow. I missed that too. Thank you so much for that. So, okay, so he says, after you pass the A and P, from my understanding, this means awakening. No, the A and P is, and this is, I've experienced a lot of this stuff is exactly what my experience was, but I also just respect that that's not a lot of people's experience, and that's just a fact. So, the ANP is not classical awakening. The ANP is the no turning back point of the system can no longer ignore insight material as it's arising. The system is just, in a sense, not on autopilot, but it is now in the sort of, it's in the tumbler. It's being pushed down the path. There's no way to turn back, and that can be disturbing for people, in part because the ground that they're used to sitting on is no longer available in the way that it was before. So the classical awakening path is one thing that people say can happen is this sort of AMP experience, and also that's described as the no turning back point. So there's that. Let's see, you're stuck cycling between these things. I think for some people that's probably very true, but it's one of these things where I'm trying to think of another example. It's a tautology. It's very self-defining. It's like anyone who has this experience, this is what it is. If you don't have the experience, then you don't have the sort of level of awakening that I've had. If you've described something else and it is the level of awakening that I've had, then you're just describing it wrong, or maybe you just didn't notice something. And there's not a lot of room for a much sort of broader, more sciencey view or more scientific view, where you say like, this is different for different people. It's just different experientially for different people. And because we're talking about something that's so fundamental, any language is going to fail fundamentally. Any way to try to describe this is going to fail. So to say like this type of description is, more accurate is problematic, because there's a way in which that's very orthodox. This is the description, this is the best description. And then to say, yeah, but we're also going to include all these other things that I'm going to interpret to mean these things. For me, the better position is to say, we can't define what someone's experience is. Someone could have what we're calling awakening, and it looks like none of these things. They could have a seizure, or they could have something and the brain just switches. And often what happens in many cases, maybe 30% of cases, it looks sort of like this path that sort of goes through in this certain specific way. But any teacher worth their weight is going to tell you it is not linear. And I think Daniel's pretty good about this. It is not linear like this. It's more of an algorithm, and you're going through in all these ways and all these different places. And that begs the question over and over again, then why even imply that this map is accurate or that it is the way to go? And I think part of what it is that its maps are terrible. They're the worst thing in the world. They're a bad idea. And sometimes they are the best thing we've got. So let's see here. Gene says, and this is probably the answer that I was looking for here. Gene says, why is it that Gene is mentioning the half-day retreat again?
You said the more you hear requests, the more likely you are to agree. Or you need reminders.
It's both, but the more I hear people request it, the more I'm like, oh, right, I got to do that thing. So you're doing the exact right thing, Gene, is to badger me about the retreat. Other people, if you want that retreat, just badger me, and I will feel guilty, and then I will do it. I don't know why I'm asking to be badgered, but apparently I am. Let's see here.
Mr. Peters on makes hypothetical statements. P.S. I'm up for a mini retreat. Jane.
See, more badgering. You guys, the badgering.
I have been doing pretty much exclusively awareness practices. My concentration is actually terrible.
Okay. That's not surprising. And actually what you might be, and from what you described before, like I want to very, very broadly describe a lot of the Dark Knight material, which I think is also something that I think Daniel does well, is turbulence in the system, especially a system that had a lot of concentration and the system was sort of going, and then sometimes there's some like flashy experience. It's like, oh, that was interesting, or feels like very energetic or lots of movement, these kind of things. Those all fit in that category. If you're going to create a category. And after that, the system can be very sort of like bouncing around and sort of like it's hard to like let the system land. And so that what you're describing sounds like, if we were to describe Dark Knight material, that might fit right exactly in that category. So know that what you're experiencing might exactly be that. So part of what you want to do is look for the part that's resisting that experience. This is not how it should be. My concentration is bad. It shouldn't be like that. Okay, which part of the mind knows that? Does that part of the mind need this to be different? Maybe it does. If that's the case, look for the part that knows that. And eventually you find the experience and the part of the experience that doesn't need anything to be different. And if you can't find that, you can use some of the techniques we talked about today. If it feels like it's pulling towards the middle, what is it pulling from? These kind of things. And we can talk about kind of how to get there. But that's the likelihood. I don't want to say the likelihood. It's possible that you're experiencing some of the Dark Knight material now. And that sort of like, the fear, what if this thing is actually just more Dark Knight material, and that's actually fine. It's expected. Of course, the system feels scared, confused, doesn't like what's going on. Yeah, of course. Welcome, and welcoming that experience. So hopefully that helps. Denny says, in finance, we say all models are wrong. Some are useful. Exactly. That is a pretty good saying there. I like that. Same thing is true for meditation maps. That is exactly true. And I personally like Shinzen's, in a way, you were saying, what was the thing you said above? Descriptive and prescriptive. Yeah, there's something about normative. I think it's like descriptive and normative. I think prescriptive. Anyway, so descriptive and prescriptive. So I think there's a way in which the progress of insight is kind of prescriptive, and it's not, but people treat it as being purely descriptive. It should be like this, it will be like this, it's always going to be like this, and it's definitely on the prescriptive side. I like Shinzen's map, so to speak, because it seems less prescriptive. I think it is still prescriptive, and I think that part of it is like not ideal because it gets into this very weird territory. But he has a map in his essay called "What is Mindfulness?" I think it's page 43. If somebody's open to linking that PDF, and in that section it says, God, what is that section called? From source to something, from surface to source. I think that's the section there. And I think it's page 43 of that essay. And he just goes through and says, we see the world as like sort of a thing. It can break down into particles. Those particles then break down into, more of like a sense of the general movement of the particles, and then it breaks down to a sort of universal kind of awareness experience. That is a very Theravada dualist view, which is perfectly valid, and that view can be flipped, and you can do it from the other end, where you're starting from a whole and then moving back and getting into the content of the divisions of naturally experienced in the world. Thank you, Denny, so much for finding that link. That is a great essay. P.S. It's one of Shinzen's 5 big essays, which not included in that is his Introduction to See, Hear, Feel, which is another great essay. But that is a great essay. If you want an introduction to See, Hear, Feel, that Shinzen Young Introduction to See, Hear, Feel is very thorough. It's like most Shinzen stuff, it's like, this is kind of overly thorough, but very good. So check that out. Folks, any other questions, curiosities, interest, opportunities, anything else coming up? I need to make sure. I'm just going to check my calendar here, because tell you what, I could easily run right over into something I need to do. Calendar says, okay, I'm going to need to jump off pretty soon. So folks, what time is it? Anything else before we hit the bricks? We're going to be back here in fewer than 48 hours, and P.S. I'm really hoping that I have the time to go over all the recordings from my last psychedelic journey, and if that I do, then we can I can give a full report from that experience in the next stream. Hopefully I can make it there. Page 40. Okay, great. Page 40 then. Excellente. Thank you for that, Julia. Folks, excellent time. Good times as always. Beep up, beep up. Where is this thing? Is anyone I know? Okay. It's funny. I always want to raid Johnny. I always think it's fun to raid Johnny. But when I do, as soon as I get there, he's usually in regular stream, whatever, and then he's like talking about like, my ass hair, or like some like weird topic, or like talking about something weird. So I'm always a little bit hesitant to send everybody over there. But for fun today, we're gonna jump over and raid our friend. Wait, let me see here real quick before we do this. This channel is intended for mature audiences. Okay, let me just see what's happening here.
Shush is your new girlfriend.
Who? Yeah, no, she asked me out.
I don't know, whatever.
Zach,
We're gonna
rollerblades, and you and I are going blading this summer, okay?
We're gonna raid Johnny just for fun, folks. So we're gonna jump over to our friend Johnny's. I want to make a wish for you in this particular moment, right here, right now, is to notice the mind will be dividing the world into pieces, little individual things, and at times it'll zoom open to the whole. Notice that that is a natural part of the mind. Nothing wrong with that, and observing that aspect of the mind, its expansion and contraction, is a powerful way to learn about what it means to exist. So we're going to jump over here to our friend, and lovely to see everybody here. And we're getting ready. So folks, great to see you. We'll see you back here in fewer than 48 hours. Let's jump over to our friend And we'll see you all very, very soon. Have a lovely day. Wait. I say something the same every time. Take care of each other. Reason things out. That's not it. That's something else. As always, folks, practice well. Take care of each other. Have fun. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye.
I can't believe how sick I am.
Someone send this guy some meds. OSHITTTT.
I gotta text my mom. In case she's watching.
Are you fasting? Hello, a deep
No.
mindfulness.
Deep mindfulness, are you here? Deep mindfulness. Let's just say I explored some things in my
Raid.
mind this weekend.
Someone
and I've been
raided.
sick for weeks.
You don't need food, you need medication.
Deep mindfulness! Dude, thank you so much, dude. Thank you so much for the raid, man.
Low energy
How are
stream.
you? No,
He raided
no,
you.
no, I'm not fucking low energy. Alright, I'm up. You wanna see me pass out? Alright. Alright. Alright, I'm up. No more low energy.
Haha.
Deep mindfulness. I did some soul
Rest, my
searching this
dude.
weekend. And I used a substance. And I have been ill.
Why is that chart flat? It should be going all the way up.
It is, yeah, actually, that's the chart of all your ex-girlfriends. Oh, that's bad. That's misogynistic, too. Don't even fucking laugh at that. Okay, and by the
Our
way,
boy
I don't
has
even
had
like those
sinus
things.
infection and won't go to the doctors to get antibiotics.
Want to chat, my dude?
No press.
Dude, I'll call you. This stream is everything you're against right now,
Yawning
my
face,
friend.
Yawning face.
This is everything you're against right now, dude. Do you want to hear what I'm doing? Do you want to hear what I'm doing? You want to call in? Let's do it. Let me explain what's happening to you, and then I want.
Why the fuck are you doing substances?
I was trying to find fucking deep mindfulness, man, in my brain. You wanna know what's happening? Let's go. Let's call.
Ideally, I'm not against anything.
Well, deep mindfulness, you should be against this because I've completely rebranded, my friend. I went from glow up to throw up, and let me explain. Call
Wild
in.
wind storm in BC right now. Over 100,000 people without power.
That's not good. Pray for BC. Everyone, hashtag pray for BC. But deep mindfulness, I'm going to tell you what's
Blow
going
up to
on.
throw up.
I'm gonna tell
Mr.
you what's
Deep.
going on, dude.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, he's calling.
How
it
are you,
out.
my friend? Do you want to wait? Well, I got
Mr.
the.
Deep.
Yeah, we'll just do voice if that's all right.
Whatever you want. I can do video, but whatever you like.
You know what? Let's do some video then. Let's
Yeah.
do some video. Why not?
Might as well. We're here to entertain.
We are exactly. I'm just gonna get my two banners up so I can make that hash. Donation goal, and I need to click. Okay.
You got this whole advanced stream thing going. I'm so I don't know, sophomore. I'm like, how do you make emojis move?
I barely know that. I'm trying to copy and paste them. Coin. One moment.
Sure.
I'm sorry. This is brutal.
That's cool. You do your thing. I'll talk to your stream to chat. What's up, chat? Johnny's chat has got some of my folks in here. We just finished a nice little meditation. What did we do today? We focused on letting awareness be as large as possible and welcoming whatever happens. And if it's challenging, doesn't want to be welcomed, we just welcome that. Good times. I have a surprise for Johnny too, which he's going to be surprised at, related to his journey that he took this weekend. So I'm excited to share that with him as well. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. It's not letting me do video because I'm still streaming.
One moment.
I have my stream going.
One moment.
Oh, we got a nice follower here. Thank you so much for Lil Giver RT. Thanks for that.
He rules. Actually, everyone go follow right now. And thank you so much for that raid, my friend. That's beautiful.
My camera went crazy. So
It might be because
it's trying to use both, but it's very interesting, crazy. It's like purple, and I think my stream is actually still up. I'm going to end it in a second, but it's very weird. So if people are watching this stream, it's pretty cool. It's pretty. Hey, maybe it's because we're talking about psychedelics. Maybe that's. Okay, I'm going to end the stream. Oh, another follow here from Electra Cal. Thank you so much for the
The
follow.
Cal rules. He's a good man. Everybody, go drop some follows right now.
Oh,
He's gonna...
thanks, folks. You're very kind. I feel so appreciative.
Oh, wait, what's going
Lil
on
Givert,
here?
Lil Givert 9. Thanks for the follow.
Okay, this is not very deep of
Rob
us
Gang.
trying to make that Bitcoin money, but I'll explain. Wait, Cal, you're a girl? What? Oh my God! Cal has been part of this community forever, and I'm such a misogynist. I always assume they're dudes, and then that's so crazy. I have an image